Okay, it's April 22nd. It's a Thursday, and as you can see, we have a frost. Not a good thing for this late in the this late in the game. Obviously, it's getting towards the later stages of April. Tonight they're forecasting again to be low 30s. So right now it's 32. So we're probably gonna have another frost tomorrow night. What does that mean? Obviously we're greening up, so this grass is going to get knocked back, so you're going to see a big difference in color on the fairways, roughs, around greens, around bunkers. This grass is going to get stunted, basically, knocked back. Nothing's going to die from this, but it's going to take a week or two of warm temperatures to get it back growing and kind of recover from this. The main thing that we're worried about, obviously the frost out here, but is soil temperature. So we have a temperature gauge in here. This has been in the ground for about 5 minutes, and you can see it's about 42, 43 degrees. And actually we're at a 2-inch depth reading in the ground. We do that because Bermuda grass is roughly around that 2-inch depth and root zone. So that's what we measure, and soil temp is everything when it comes to growing any turf. So optimal temperature to actually start growing for Bermuda grass is in that 65 to 75 degrees, and actually Bermuda grass will actually not start even trying to push its roots down until we get into that 80 to 100 degrees. So we're well off growing weather. We've had some good days, and obviously we've started to green up, but the big reason we've not greened up in a lot of areas, and some areas are struggling along, is because we just don't have the temperatures. There's no amount of fertilizer, aerification, anything you can do if you don't have the temperatures, the sunlight. Bermuda grass needs that to get going. And then obviously we're sitting here on town, the sun will get up over the trees, but we're sitting in shade. And that's obviously, we spoke about this before, Bermuda grass, 8 hours every day. Well, you're not going to get a good stand of turf. That's why we struggle so much. I can't say it enough. You can ask any superintendent grass grower in the world. Bermuda grass needs the sun. So these areas around the trees are always going to struggle. They're always going to be last to come in. Been asked, what's going on 8T, 14 fairway. They're sitting in a lot of sun, and we had a very, very wet winter. This golf course doesn't drain very well. We're on clay, and areas that just stayed wet for a long period of time, basically the grass starts to rot if that water can't move and it's sitting there because it's not growing. So right now it's growing, it can use that water up, but the winter months where it stayed wet, those areas kind of started to rot, and they're going to be slow to come back. And then again, we don't have the soil temps, we don't have the air temps. They're going to, they're not going to recover. Once it gets going, we can fertilize it, verticut and aerify, and really get it going, then it'll start growing. So we're just going to be slow in those areas. There's really nothing you can do about that until we get the temperatures going. So just that's kind of why we're at where we're at. We've only mowed fairways a couple times this year. Some years at this stage we could have mowed them 10 times. Just different kind of springs and transitions from winter dormancy to growing conditions, green up. And then just to let everybody know, excuse me, we've covered a few areas on our back greens, number 11, 14 and 17, just with these temperatures. It's 32 degrees right now. Again, just to help those areas out. Those soil temps are low, those areas are struggling a little bit. So if we can cover them, we get the sun up, we're actually gonna basically be like a blanket for those areas. We can warm those areas up, protect them, and get them growing back in. So that's why we have a few covers out here for the next 2 or 3 days until we get into next week. Looks like we're going to get back up into the 80s, which is great. Hopefully no more 30-degree frosts, and we can grow those areas back in. But again, until we get the temperatures, we'll just kind of stand and looking at some of these areas, and there's not much we can do about it. So just kind of an update of what frost does. Soil temperatures, again, we are Bermuda grass in the roughs and the fairways, the tees, there's always our warm season grass around the bunkers, and with Bermuda green, so we're all basically warm season grass, and we need the heat, we need the sun, we need sunlight to really get going and growing up. And you know, we'll get there. It'll be 95 degrees before you know it. It'll be humid, and Bermuda grass will be loving life. But just a slow transition this year in the springtime.